A heavy silence has taken over the Peterson home. The family is still deep in grief over the loss of their eldest son, Caleb, killed in combat in Afghanistan. But no one is carrying that weight more than Laura, his mother. One quiet morning, she sits alone, staring at a photo of her boy. Then, a knock at the door. Standing outside is a young man who introduces himself as David Collins, former Army sergeant, close friend of Caleb's. Laura, drained by sorrow and somehow disarmed by his calm presence, lets him in without a second thought. Inside, David tells her he was with Caleb in his final moments. That Caleb's last words were about his love for his family. Laura listens in silence, then quietly walks out of the room. And the moment she's behind that closed door, she collapses, completely overcome. But she pulls herself back together, returns, and tells David to stay. She wants her family to meet him. She even offers him Caleb's old room. Not everyone is as welcoming. Anna, Caleb's sister, barely looks up when introduced. David is just another face from the past to her. And Spencer, Laura's husband, is openly suspicious. Even if David knew Caleb, he's still a stranger. A soldier with possible trauma could be a real risk to the household. But after some tension, Spencer gives in and lets him stay, handing David a drink as a reluctant peace offering. Then there's Luke, the youngest. He comes home walking like someone bracing for impact. And for good reason. Luke is relentlessly bullied at school for being gay. Recently, it turned physical. The bruise on his face is still fresh. David notices it the moment Luke walks in, but Luke brushes it off as a football injury. That evening, Anna's at the park with her boyfriend Zeke, telling him about David. She says he seems polite enough, but something doesn't sit right. She's worried his presence might drag her parents back into the darkest part of their grief. But sometimes when someone walks into your home uninvited, they're not just a visitor, they're something else entirely. And David Collins is not just any friend, he is the guest. The next afternoon, David shows up to pick Luke up from school. He says Laura proved it, but he also wants the truth about that bruise. Luke eventually gives in and points out who did it. David follows them to a bar. Luke hesitates at the door, but follows. David spots the bullies and sends over the most expensive drinks on the menu. It doesn't take long before they figure out who paid. One of them, feeling disrespected, hurls the drink straight into David's face. David doesn't flinch. He wipes his face, then calmly launches his own drink right back into the kid's eyes. And in the same breath, he explodes into action. Two of them go down hard. The last two don't last much longer. A few strikes each, and it's over. When the bar owner grabs a baseball bat and steps forward, David calmly reminds him that serving alcohol to minors is the kind of thing that gets a place shut down. Then he hands him a bribe. Message delivered. That night, Anna goes to a party and brings David along. He stands out immediately. When Kristen, the host, finds herself in a confrontation with her aggressive ex, David steps in and shuts it down without breaking a sweat. Later, Kristen brings David to her room. They sleep together, but something feels off. Later that night, David tracks down Craig, a dealer who moves more than just drugs. When Craig finds out about David's military background, he offers his services. Anything, anytime. David doesn't hesitate. He says he needs a gun. Craig asks why. David gives a cold smile. Because he's a soldier. The next morning, Anna goes looking for David and overhears something that stops her cold. He's on the phone, calmly talking about dental records, fingerprints, people trying to track him. He says he needs a new face. One nobody can recognize. Anna calls the military base where David claimed to serve. But instead of a service record, what comes back is a warning. Classified. Refer to KPG Private Corporation. The operator follows protocol and contacts KPG. A man on the other end gives clear instructions. Anyone asking about David Collins is to be told he is dead. That call reaches Major Carver, head of KPG. The moment he hears the name Anna Peterson, the pieces click. She's Caleb's sister. Carver doesn't hesitate. He assembles a squad of elite marksmen and sets his course for the Peterson home. Meanwhile, David meets Craig and an arms dealer at a quiet location. But he hasn't come to buy. After checking one of the weapons, he turns it on the dealer and pulls the trigger. Craig bolts, but doesn't get far. David drops him without emotion. He searches the vehicle and takes everything, several firearms and 2 grenades. He is ready for whatever comes next. Back at the house, Anna gathers the family and lays out everything she's uncovered. She tells them David Collins is officially listed as dead, that no one really knows who this man is. But David doesn't flinch. He has a story ready, classified unit, wounded in action, false records created to protect him. He even produces dog tags as proof. For Laura and Spencer, that's enough. Spencer demands Anna apologize. She refuses. Crushed, she locks herself in a room. Later, Anna traces one of David's calls to a doctor who lost his license after performing facial surgery while intoxicated. She asks Luke, who's sharp with computers, to dig deeper. Luke doesn't waste a second. But before he can get far, David pulls him aside for a private conversation. He tells Luke never to let anyone push him around again. And if it comes down to it, fight back. Things escalate fast. Carver and his team pull up to the Peterson house, quiet and fast. He shows Laura a photo and asks if she recognizes the man. She confirms it. David just went inside. David appears in the doorway holding laundry. He sees the threat instantly, drops the clothes, draws his gun, and takes out 2 soldiers before slipping back inside. Inside, a bullet tears into his thigh, but he doesn't stop. He wraps the wound and fights back systematically, picking off soldiers one by one as they push into the house. Eventually, he makes his way to the kitchen, where he finds Laura shaking, already dialing the police. He takes the phone before she can speak. Laura demands answers. Who are these men? What is happening? Did he ever really know Caleb? David says nothing. Except this, yes, he knew Caleb. They were part of the same program. And Caleb, he says quietly, would have understood what had to be done. Laura's faith in him collapses. She screams, trying to warn the soldiers outside. She doesn't get the chance to finish. David stabs her. Laura Peterson is gone. David moves fast. He takes out the remaining soldiers, shoots out the tires on their vehicles, and disappears. But not before Spencer comes speeding toward him in his car. David drives straight into him. The impact destroys both vehicles. He walks to the wreckage, finds Spencer barely conscious and bleeding, and apologizes. Then pulls the trigger. He's gone. Carver, the only one still alive, heads straight for the diner where Anna works. He walks in, tells her it's about David, and she goes with him immediately. On the road, he delivers devastating news. Both her parents are dead. Then he tells her the full truth. David wasn't just a soldier. He was part of a military experiment. His mind was altered, conditioned to eliminate anyone who might expose who he really is. And even if part of him wanted to stop, it may no longer be possible. He broke out of the facility, killed several people, burned the bodies, and was listed as dead in the fire, until Anna's phone call gave him away. Meanwhile, Luke is at school on detention, helping set up the haunted house for the Halloween dance. No phones allowed. He never sees Anna's warning calls. Anna and Carver arrive just in time, rushing inside to find Luke. But before they can move, the lights cut out. A familiar song begins to play, the mixed CD. The one Anna made for David. He's already inside. Carver tells the teacher to get Anna and Luke out through the back, through the mirror maze. But as the teacher turns the first corner, David is waiting. He's stabbed before he can react. Carver tells the siblings to run while he stays behind. But David doesn't rush. He toys with Carver, stabs him repeatedly, and leaves him to die alone in the dark. Now only Anna and Luke remain. Luke still wants to believe David is just running, not hunting them. Anna breaks through it. David killed their parents. She's in tears. And finally, Luke believes her. Anna tells Luke to hide. She'll draw David out. The hunt begins. Anna catches up to David in the dark, raises the gun she took from Carver, and fires into his chest. He drops, but smoke fills the air, and she loses sight of his body. David comes out of the shadows and drives a blade into her leg. Her neck shot goes wide, shatters a light fixture, sparks a fire. Injured and pinned down, Anna is moments from being strangled. Then Luke breaks his promise. Stop it. He steps out and drives the butterfly knife straight into David. David drops. But instead of fighting back, he looks up at Luke and smiles, gives him a thumbs up, tells him he did the right thing, that there's nothing to feel guilty about. Anna and Luke escape as the school burns around them. Outside, fire trucks and police swarm the scene. The two are rushed to an ambulance, bruised and shaken, but alive. For a moment, it feels like it's over. Then an officer steps out with quiet news. Only 2 bodies were recovered from the fire. Anna looks toward the wreckage. A firefighter limps out and stops. He turns and looks directly at her. She knows it's not over.